Alright, so I'm basically gonna go through the steps that I took to get my apprenticeship and like things that I think you should do and shouldn't do. So, first of all, apply to as many companies as you can because with me, I got lucky. With me, I applied to one and I got that one. Like it might not be the same for everyone, so apply to as many as you can. And if you get an offer, take it. Like just because another company pays higher doesn't mean you're gonna end up in that company. Like you never know. So apply to as many as you can. Make sure your CV is your make sure your CV is catered to engineering. So say stuff like you did engineering in secondary or like you did this extracurricular stuff like because I worked in construction, so I mentioned that and that gave me a boost. So make sure your CV is catered to engineering or you have something to do with engineering in your CV. um what else? Also, yeah, in terms of applying, writing the CV and everything, that's it. If it's one of those, if the company that you're applying for ask questions like why do you want to work for us and everything, the key here is to show them that you're interested and that you can make a difference in their company. So you could say stuff like, I'm interested in buildings and how they work. Um, like when I was younger, I used to play with a lot of Lego. I'm interested in making this a real life thing, like things that show that you're interested, and also how you can make a difference. Say that you bring a positive vibe to the environment and everything. Like just what you enjoy, your interests, and what you can bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, you want to work for them, and they want more than just someone who's gonna sit down and stare at the desk all day. So in terms of application and filling out forms, those will be my tips for that stage. Now the second stage is when you actually get an offer. The minute you get the offer, make sure you're reading the company's website. Like you should know their website, most of their projects and things they do outside of the workplace, like the back of your hand. For example, so I work for Atkins. Um, all I did was look at their projects that I picked because you're not going to remember everything. Like these companies have worked on loads of stuff, so I picked two um, sorry two projects from this country and a project they did in Dubai and a project that they did in Germany, and I basically just put it in bullet points like the most important bits. Like they work on this, like their main goal is sustainable building. Um, it took them this long. It costs this much. Why I like the building. It looks architecturally attractive. Stuff like that. Like show them that you're interested in their projects by you knowing the projects first, and then you being able to tell them some information about it. Secondly, which a lot of people missed, is knowing what the company does outside of just working on like infrastructure. So, for example, you mentioned charities. If they're a company that likes to play football games here and there, mention football games that they've played. Like these are hard to find, but most of these companies have Twitter, Facebook. Like, you have to research. If you're really serious and you want this, you have to go deeper than someone else would go. Like, just go the extra mile, to be honest. So, in terms of preparation, that's what you need. Also, make sure you're dressed for the occasion. Do not turn up to an interview in jeans or a tracksuit. Get a formal suit. Colors you should go with are black, navy, or grey. Shirt should always be white, and wear a tie. Like, it's all small stuff, but it all adds up. Wear a tie, grey suit, black suit or navy suit, and you're good to go. Smart shoes, fresh hair. This is because I don't have time because I've been working. Fresh haircut, go there looking presentable. Yeah, so in terms of like just the preparation stage, that's what you need. You need good suit, good look representable. Um, do your research on the company, both on what they do and what they do in the workplace and what they do outside of the workplace. And that's that's as far as it goes before you actually get there. Now, getting to your interview, things that you should bring with you are: number one, your ID, which they'll ask you to bring ID anyway, just to check like your passport, and or if you have a driver's license. Well, everyone's older now. Like, yeah, everyone's in their 18s and that, so everyone should have like a provisional at least. Yeah, bring ID. And also, if you have any engineering work, any proof of any engineering related stuff, bring that along with you. Like with me, because I worked on site before I started this job, I had a license which allowed me access onto site. So I brought that with me. Plus, Mr. Fibrosimo, his coursework that I did in year 11, I brought that along as well. Like, I made a portfolio of that. I brought that along with me. And make sure you make like 3 to 4 copies, because your interview, you might go through different people, or it might be several people interviewing you. So everyone needs their own copy. It just shows that you're professional, shows that you're ready, shows that you can go the extra mile, shows you're organized as well. So bring evidence of work that's related to engineering. Because it just shows that you're interested as well. So they're more likely to take you on. So that's what you should bring to the interview. Now, the interview itself, make sure you get there. Half an hour is the really, really safe, but the maximum time, no, the minimum time needed, no, how do I say this? Okay, just make sure you're there 15 minutes early at latest. Like, if you're there 10 minutes early, you're late. Make sure you're there 15 minutes early latest. 15 minutes and above. I'm not saying go there an hour early, but 15 minutes and above, you're okay. Because what I realized is that these people, yeah, let's just say these people, they like to watch. So even before the interview started, they're watching you. You won't know who's watching you, but they're watching you. So you get there 15 minutes early. There will be a waiting area where they'll probably have books on the table, the day's newspaper. They'll have something there. Now the key, this is where, because when I went to my interview, 2 people failed already. This is where you have to be You have to use your common sense. They don't put books on the table for no reason. They put them there so you can read them, and it's usually the company's books. So what you do, you get there 15 minutes early. The minute you're there, don't you should switch. You should have switched off your phone the minute you've seen the building. If you're using your phone for Google Maps or anything, the minute you find the building, switch it off. You get there, pick up something on the table. You don't have to read, just pretend you're reading it. Like, if it's something you feel like it will help you during your interview process, like extra information about the company, then read it. But as far as I'm concerned, I just picked up like a project book. It had loads of writing in it, had pictures in it. I looked at the pictures, like, and there was a woman who was standing at the door. You would think that she's security the way she was standing, but she was actually the one who took us to our interview, and she was part of the interviewing team. So they watch you from the get go. So be there early when you're there. Pick up something to read, like, or be interactive. If someone from the company's already there, talk to them, like, ask them smart questions, like, what do you do in the office? Like your transition from, if there was an apprentice as well, your transition from being an apprentice to no, your transition from being a student to an apprentice, or if they came from uni, like your transition from being a uni student to a graduate engineers, because that's what they call it, that movement. So that's your preparation. The interview process itself. Now mine was broken up into 3 parts. The first part was where they show you all the glitz and the glamour. Like they showed us all the hotel trips you can go on, like the leisure trips they go on, the projects they work on, like your salary that you can make. They basically put it in your face like, this is the prize. 2 of you are getting it today. The rest of you are going home. So that was the first part. Make sure you listen during this part because they throw in bits of information which they want you to pick up and say in your interview. So you concentrate throughout the whole thing. The second part was the assessment. Now, not all companies do this, but with my company, there was a comprehension, a maths task, and just a comprehension and a maths task. But they put it together. So what it was there was so and so. There was a building next to a railway, and the railway was causing like noise, like disruption to the local environment. So that was the first issue. The second issue was the fact that the carbon footprint of these buildings were too high. So you have to think of methods of reducing it. So the comprehension part was reading the statement of the issue, and there were questions like, so what was the main issue? The main issue was the noise pollution from the trains going by disturbing the locals. What was the issue in terms of the environment? The carbon footprint was too high and they need ways of reducing it. So it's just, they ask you simple questions, but it's about finding the answer. With mine, they don't do the maths separately. So it's not your A-level maths or your GCSE maths. The concept is the same, but they put it inside the text. So it was like the carbon footprint is at 0.22, blah, blah, blah. We want it to be at 0.1. And then they'll give you options like a solar panel will reduce it by this much. A wind turbine will reduce it by this much. So then that's where the maths comes in. Like you have to pick the most cost worthy I most cost worthy equipment that will reduce the carbon footprint to the amount that is acceptable. So it's maths, but it's maths put in a scenario. It's not like they're not gonna give you what work out Pythagoras of this, work out that. Well, as far as my interview was concerned, they didn't give me that. So that's your maths and your English task. After that, they'll ask. Yeah, after that, it's your actual interview. So with your actual um, interview tips I would give you: the minute you walk in, shake your interviewer's hand and introduce yourself. Some of these interviewers, they're not gonna do that. They're just gonna sit down and be like, "Hey," because they want to see if you have interpersonal skills, like if you can communicate with someone on a professional level. So whenever I'm meeting someone in the office, shake hands. My name is Herbert. They say my name's blah blah blah. Then we work. Um, yeah, and then when you're sitting down, make sure don't sit down with your arms crossed or anything. Like don't be fiddling. The best place to put your hands is either on the table if you're facing your interviewer, or just on your knees. Like just relax as well. Don't be slouching. Like sit, just center your body. Keep eye contact with your interviewer, and be confident when you talk as well. Don't try not to stutter. Like try to get your words out clearly, and just be yourself. To be honest, just be yourself. Like be comfortable. All right. In terms, this is the bit everyone wants to know: what questions will come up. Honestly, I don't know. Every interview is different, but um, questions which I believe will come up are: why do you want this job? What made you apply? What are your aspirations if given an opportunity to work for this company? And they might throw in questions like, um, for example, mine. He said, if you had a family issue, but they but the company really needed you on a project, what would you do? So this is where it's 50-50, because fair enough, they want someone who is willing to sacrifice to work for them, but also companies understand that people have their lives. So my answer was, I would try to come into work, that I'll try the best I can to come into work, and if the issue was to get too serious, then I'll have to apologize to the people I'm working with, then leave during the day to go and deal with the issue, and make sure when I return back to work, I work twice as hard to um, cover the time that I've missed. So it's all about being realistic. You're not gonna say, "No, I'm gonna leave my family to die out. I'm just gonna work because you lot are more important." They don't wanna hear that. They wanna know that you're a human being with common sense. That's it. Like um, another thing, when it asks what are your weaknesses, I would say you have to pick weaknesses that aren't actually weaknesses. For example, say that during secondary school, I was very not don't say antisocial. During secondary school, I wouldn't communicate with others well because I didn't have the confidence. But over time, my confidence has been building, so I'm able to speak to you today. Blah blah blah. Like stuff small, make it small stuff, because if you're saying, one of my weaknesses is waking up in the morning, I can't wake up, but I've tried and it's worked because I'm here today and I came early. In the future, they're gonna be like, can we really trust this guy to wake up in the morning? So find weaknesses that aren't actually weaknesses, if you know what I mean. Strengths. Make sure your strengths have to be honest though. Make sure you tell them your strengths, because if you do get the placement, they will target work based on your strengths. So tell them what strengths you have. Also, when they ask you what you know about the company, like I said before, mention their projects, mention what's interesting about the projects, mention their motto. Like for my company's motto, it was all about sustainability in building. Um, that's not the exact motto, but it was something along those lines. You just have to remember it for that day. I don't know. So yeah, make sure you talk about the company both in the workplace and out the workplace. Talk about their charities. Talk about events they hold. Talk about if any school trips they've any schools they've gone to visit and tried to invite work experience or anything. Talk about that. So yeah, in terms of the interview, just relax, honest. They're gonna throw some questions at you which you might not be able to answer immediately, but they're just trying to see like in situations of pressure how you would react. And it's all to stay calm. Like if you really cannot answer a question, just be like, sorry, I'm not able to answer your question. Can you reword it? Or can you move on to the next one and we come back to this one? Just be confident, be yourself. And yeah, how how did my interview go? My interview with my interviewer. Um, Mine was actually really smooth. He asked me, so why did you apply? I said, I'm interested in engineering. I told him why I'm interested. I said, I've been playing with Lego. I've never had Lego in my life. I said, I've been playing with Lego blocks since a young kid. I like how things come together. He asked me the same question about if your family had an issue and we asked you to come into work and it was a very important job. He asked me, what do you know about the company? I said, the charities, the visiting schools. He asked me, where do I see myself in the next 5 years? Oh, that's a good question. So, as well as preparing for the interview by saying what the company does and everything, make sure you're prepared to answer your future aspirations. So, I mean, yeah, these aren't my future aspirations. Now that I work for the company, things have changed. Like I see things differently. So the path I want to take is different now. But at the time, just say you plan to do your level 3 while working for the company, then go on to do the level 4, which is the HNC, HND, and then after all that's done, you plan to study at uni while still working for the company. And once you finished uni, you'll get a full-time placement. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear loyalty. They want to hear commitment. They want to hear eager to learn but eager to work as well. That's what they want to hear. So future aspirations. Mention the education. Mention the framework. Mention what they're gonna give to you. Because the fact that you know that already, they're like, okay, this is someone that knows what they're doing. Teaching them wouldn't be hard. So that's the interview process. Okay, the last thing that they do is the group activity. Now, the group activity is actually a trick because it's not, can you complete the activity? That's not the aim. The real aim is who shines the brightest in different areas. So let me explain that to you. It's not who's dominating, like who's saying you do this, you do that, you do this. It's who can show leadership but also step down when someone else has a better idea or input. So my I'll just explain how mine went. So the task was to build a bridge. The bridge had to be a meter high, and all we had was string, plastic cups, sellotape, which there was like only one band of sellotape, and we had straws. We managed to make the bridge, and it worked. So we had to roll a Coke can along the bridge, and it had to go from one end to the other. So if you do get this task, what I would say is it's all about the foundation. Make sure the minute your foundation, which would be the plastic cups, you stack them up, you sellotape them, and yeah, that's it. Like the top of the bridge, all you have to do is, oh yeah, they give you paper, so all you have to do is make the paper just wide enough for the Coke can not to sway either side. And even if it isn't wide enough, the reason they give you straw is to act like a railing. So just put the straw on either side. I wish I could show. Alright, here's a piece of paper. So pretend it was like this. So your Coke can's gonna roll here. So obviously the paper they give you is gonna be like half of this. They're not gonna give you a full paper. So obviously your Coke can is wider than this. No, the Coke can's length is wider than this. So it is gonna fall on the left or the right side. So what you do, you stack your cups up to the 1 meter. Place this on top of your cups, sellotape either end, because you have to use the sellotape sparingly or else you're just gonna run out. And then if you see that your Coke can is, because they give you attempts, if you see your Coke can is rolling off on either side, attach straw, which will act as a railing, or like a train, or a train track. It depends on how big they allow your paper to be. If they allow it to be like big enough for the Coke can to fit, make like a train track. So you put straw on the inside, straw on the inside. You know how Coke cans, they have like an edged part at the top. All you have to do, place that where your straw is. I wish I had a can. Place that where your straw is, and it will literally just roll. Just think of it as a train track. Like, it's when you actually see it, what I'm saying will make sense. But that's if the activity they gave me, they give to you. I'm not sure if they will, but that's the method of passing the activity. Even if you don't pass the activity, the main goal is to show that you're a leader. So I did that by saying, okay, I didn't say, okay, I have this idea. Let's go with my idea. Let's do it. I said, I was the first one to say, okay, we have this task here. What we should do, we should all put our ideas forward, and then at the end vote on the idea. Like, luckily, my idea was the idea that everyone went with. So, number one, I was the leader. Number two, I had the idea. Number three, when we did it, this is where more leadership comes into place. So I was like, okay, we can't all be doing the same thing at the same time. So let's split into teams. You lot handle building the the foundation, which was the plastic cups. We'll handle building the bridge. You lot handle building a railing. So it's all about like showing leadership, showing that you can talk to everyone. Make sure you introduce yourself to everyone before the group activity starts, and just be confident. Now, luckily for me, no one in my interview was stubborn, because I know a few interviews people are stubborn because they want to be like the main star, but really it's only a few. Like, most of these people who go to these interviews, like, they're just like you, they're new to it, They don't know what they're doing, so they'll be lost. But it's up to you to be confident, take that risk, and try to control it. But if someone isn't talking or someone has an idea, give that person confidence. Say, "Oh, we haven't heard from you. Like, do you have any ideas?" If they don't have an idea, be like, "All right, then, like, we'll ask you later or something." Or if someone wants an input, give them the chance to say what they want to say. And yeah, hopefully, like, what you're able to complete the task. If not, then just your effort and you showing them that you have leadership skills, you have confidence, you have creativity, just that alone, you'll you'll be in the top books. Like, you'll be in their good books. They want to pick you. So yeah, that's all that happens. So number one, CV catered to the catered to the job. Make sure before you write like, have your CV before you add anything or modify anything. Read what the company does. Make sure it's catered for them. Um, Prepare a portfolio of previous work, both in school and outside of school, related to engineering. Don't go there empty-handed. You don't want to do that. Look smart. Get a haircut. Like, when I had dreads, like up to hair, before this job, I got a haircut. It didn't hurt anything. It's worth it. I get paid to go to college and work. It's worth it. I'm telling you. Um, what else? Wear a suit, navy, grey, black. Don't wear no white suit. It's stupid. Don't do that. Um, Bring ID with you when you're there. Make sure you're reading something. Make sure you're interacting with someone who works with them. Don't interact with someone else who's there. They'll just look at you like a chat box. Unless your interaction is, like, so how do you find out about this company? Like, yeah, this is good, because people will be listening. They'll be trying to listen to what you say. Um, Interview process. Be confident. Be prepared, and make sure you show them what you can bring, and just show them what you have already. Um, Group activity. Be a leader. Be confident, but let others also have their spotlight. But don't give it to them too much. Just make make it seem like you're a manager and these are your players, and you can move them about when you want to. You can make this one be higher. You can make this one be low. You're the manager. You're the one. Um, the assessment I can't really advise you on the assessment because it's all about you being able to spot the the key. You being able to spot the right methods to answer the questions given. Comprehension is really simple. Yeah, don't be worried. It's not no A level maths. It's GCSE with a scenario. Actually it's easier than just GCSE with a scenario. The scenario might hit you off a bit, but trust me, it's not that hard. And yeah, that's it. If Yeah, in terms of the whole getting the job interview, that's it. Like, this next bit is what I do now and what you can expect. You don't have to watch this bit. This is what you can expect. So, um, I applied for Atkins. That was my only application, my first application, and I got into it. So, um, they called me a week after the whole interview and everything, saying I got the placement. They'll send me an email of when I'll start. So they sent me an email. I was supposed to start in September, but my holiday, like, I enjoy the holidays, but I was like, I'm not really doing much, so I requested to start early. So I started starting in August, and what I do, I'm a CAD technician, so AutoCAD. Like literally, you don't need to know nothing about these. They'll train you on the job. So I knew nothing about AutoCAD. So they gave me a few sketches. They were like, okay, we'll show you how to translate these hand-drawn sketches onto the computer. So I learned how to do that. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but if they gave me a drawing, they can just leave me with it. I'll have it done by the end of the day. Other things I do, um, I go out to do visits to structures. Like for example, there was a wall that was falling down. They made me go do the visit. Took pictures of it, wrote down a little report, came back to the office, reported back. Um, what else do I do? It's all basic. At the beginning, it's all basic. Like I was preparing a sheet. So what a sheet is companies when they're going to meetings, they need to bring content. So the sheet contains all the drawings they've made. So if I make a drawing, I put on a sheet, I print it out, give it to whoever's attending the meeting. If someone else makes drawings, but they don't know how to make a sheet, because making sheets is a whole another skill. Luckily, I can do both. So they'll give their drawings to me. I'll put on the sheet. They'll take it, revise it, make any annotations, give it back to me. I get it done, give it back to them. They go take it to their meeting, wherever. Um, and yeah, it's not. I don't want to say it's not hard because, as you can see, I'm really tired. It's hard because the workload is a lot, but once you're able to grasp the skills needed to do the work they give you, it's all about the quality that you can produce it and how fast you can produce it. If you can produce high quality work at a fast pace, you'll be done. Like usually I'm done during I start work at 9. If they give me a task, I'll be done by 1. Like usually people who's been there for like 5-10 years, the work that I do in about 3 hours, they do that in 2 days. So just make sure you show them that you're a valuable asset. Like just recently, um, they raised my pay and everything, but that's because I put in effort. They'll only give you as much as you put into it. So you do good, they'll rise your pay. They'll take you on trips. They'll give you more project work to do. Because at the end of the day, you're building up a CV. When your apprenticeship is done, you might not want to stay with the company. You might want to go somewhere else. If you have a solid um, project work um, portfolio and you have a solid college record, which I'll go onto after, then you're more likely to be able to transfer to another company easily rather than someone who's been working for a company